Hey, 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 good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert, and beyond, wherever you're joining us from and whatever community you're affiliated with. We welcome you to our show today. It is Friday, June 26th, and I am blessed today to have with me the Mrs. Gail Morton. Is she there? Can we see her face?
Yes, I am.
There she is.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning, Gail. How are you?
I am terrific, and good morning to you, Reverend Charles.
Thank you so much. So I'm in Palm Desert. You live here most of the year, but right now you're in...
Right now I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
So, yes,
Cool.
I'm in hot, humid, rainy Michigan.
I remember that about living in the most humidity I've ever experienced was actually in Chicago when I lived there. Now I know it gets humid in the eastern seaboard and down through the Carolinas, but Chicago, I remember it was probably 85, but the humidity was like 109,000%. It was just really like wearing a wet blanket. Is that kind of how it gets in the summer often?
Often, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I really, really appreciate the dry heat in the desert. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, and we were just talking before we came live here about the wind that comes through, and where I'm at in Palm Desert, I think I have probably some of the most exposure. I see the mountains and they're beautiful, but some of the most exposure of the wind coming through, and it gets me sometimes. It just, like, my eyes, I have these sneeze attacks. Sneezing 20 times in a row is just taxing. It just takes, I just want to take a nap.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you. I know. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how are you today? What's going on in the Midwest? Any just general comments about life and love and liberty and the pursuit of happiness?
Well, it's interesting because the culture and customs are very different from California. So we had a real interesting experience flying here. Most people haven't flown since February-ish. And so we had a real interesting experience flying here. It was certainly positive, but it's interesting because we were very accustomed to people practicing more social distancing and more wearing of the masks and other precautions for COVID in California. And when we came here, what really surprised me is the first time I went into a grocery store, there were all kinds of people pointing at me and giggling and laughing, and because I had my mask on.
Is that right?
And so, yeah, we've been very surprised at the difference. We're actually a little more comfortable with the California precautions, so that's what we've been following. But it was a very different to come from California here. And even though Michigan was a state that stayed locked down for a very long time, I do believe they were the last state, even behind New York, to start opening up. So they just opened up really fast.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wear a mask whenever I leave my apartment. I wear the mask. I think it's good protocol.
Yeah, we do too. So
right on. So I don't know how much our folks know you yet. I'm just going to ask a couple questions or make a couple statements. And so I knew you had 6 daughters.
That's right.
I didn't know you had 5 granddaughters as well. So
the
women in your family, it's a strong gene. You have strong genes in your family bent toward women. Talk about that a little bit, would you?
Well, I could talk a lot about that because our teaching has really helped me so much to be what I would consider, and I would hope that my daughters would all say, really a better mother for a large family. I really have learned patience, and I've learned that deep unconditional love, no matter if any of our daughters or their friends or their boyfriends, which we've had a lot of, and spouses I've learned to really value them and value their purpose. And this teaching has really done a lot to open me up to a deeper and greater consciousness around all of that. So We have a great family. Our family, we get together at least twice a year, everyone, and everybody makes their best effort. And now
Love-
with the spouses and the grandchildren, I mean, we have a big crew. I think we had
Yep.
35 out to the desert for Thanksgiving this year. So we just have a lot of fun as a family. And I really cherish my family.
Absolutely. Well, I hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't, that'd be a long road to hoe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
35, so 35 for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. I was blessed to grow up with a big family as well, cousins and aunts and uncles and all that. And back up in Washington,
Yeah.
we had a big crew, and we had so much fun growing up having that big family. It's a treat. It's a treat.
Well, and it has been for my children too, because they've grown up with a wonderful tribe, is what they've grown up with,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that matches that. I really didn't have that as I was growing up, and I see what they have enjoyed, and it's just amazing.
So when you met your husband, did you guys agree you were on the same? Did you take some negotiation, or did you agree we're going to have a big family?
Oh, well, that's an interesting story because my beloved husband and I are a blended family.
Okay.
So we have blended two families, and we've been a blended family now for 16 years. So, given the age of our youngest, we have had children all the way from age 4 all the way up to age 16 in our house, all at one time. So, yes, we had to really consider that as we became closer and closer.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing is that 3 of our daughters actually introduced us. So that's what was really wonderful is my
Oh,
husband
cool.
was coaching one of their athletic teams, and they kept bugging him to ask me out. He finally got up enough nerve. And so as you can see, they are also really close friends.
Love it.
Um, and they have been for 2 decades now. So
So cool. So
yeah.
cool. So the primary reason we're gathered, excuse me, is to talk about one of the new initiatives that's coming through our community. Excuse me, the Power of Eight.
Yeah.
So before we get into the Power of Eight, how does your experience, your life experience, feed into thus far why this work is so important to you?
Ah,
A,
okay.
teas- a teaser a little bit before we get into the specifics of what this is going to be. Why is it so meaningful to you, Lynn McTaggart's work, and why you want to champion this work?
Mm. Well, I've actually been following Lynn McTaggart for a number of years. She's not new to this game. She's actually been conducting this work and these experiments that we'll talk a little bit more about for more than 20 years. And I am very, very interested in the growth of New Thought. And when I talk about the growth of New Thought, I'm really talking about the science behind New Thought and the quantum physics, and not just the science, but how that then relates to consciousness, because the two are connected, completely connected. And I've loved learning about how the science grows in and through the consciousness. And Lynn McTaggart has done all kinds of experiments to support the Power of Eight groups. But the bottom line is, no matter what you read, and she has 7 books out there, it's all about growing consciousness. And for me, my past has always been growing around practical spirituality and really recognizing that wisdom in your heart. And I've recognized throughout my life, and I think having a large family for the last almost 2 decades
Yeah,
has really supported this, is that it's really all about your perception and your consciousness. And that consciousness, you can change it, and you can change it for the better. And once we are connected, we're wired to be connected. And that's why I love the Power of Eight, because the Power of Eight is taking all of our light, just as all of our individual lights, and beaming it as one light. And we all know what that does. And that's what the power of eight's all about. So it takes us from our head, which is a wonderful place to be, but it also brings us into our heart and helps us grow our consciousness through that interconnection with others.
So you've used the word consciousness at least 10 times in the last minute. What is consciousness?
Well, for me, consciousness is that vibrant, sparkling flow of energy. For me, everything is energy. And that's what consciousness is this absolute amazing force of energy that flows through all of us. And as it flows, we have the ability to shape it and to mold it any way that we choose. So that's how I think of consciousness.
Cool. Right on. So let's dive in. What is the power of eight? What is it?
So I love answering that question.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah.
Part one, part two, how is it going to benefit the people that are listening today?
Absolutely. I would love to share that. And to answer that question, I just would like to give everybody a little bit of background. So what is the power of eight? Because it's not just one thing, it's the culmination of a lot of different experiments and successes. So as I mentioned before, Lynn McTaggart, who is the author of the book called The Power of Eight,
Yep.
she is what they call an investigative journalist, but she worked with top flight scientists in scientific labs for the last 20 years because she wanted proof.
Gail, let me just stop you right there. So is that her first line of work as an investigative journalist? Is that where?
Yes, that is her line of work. And prior to writing The Power of Eight, she has written 6 other books related to all around the power of intention and intentional experiment. And that's why I'm going to give you a little bit of background, because that way people can appreciate the strength behind this. We're not talking about just a fly-by-night book. This woman has been doing this work for more than 20 years. And she would define herself as somewhat, probably not really a full atheist, but not really a spiritual person. So when she started this work, she needed proof that, wow, our thoughts, our intentions can change things. She was looking for proof. So she began an initial set of experiments, and she called them intention experiments. And what she did is she brought thousands of individuals from all over the world who volunteered to direct positive intention first to seeds, then she went to plants, then she went to polluted water, and then she really directed
literally.
Yes, literally polluted water. And I'm going to share the results with you for a minute because it's really powerful.
So I should basically shut up and just let you talk.
And then that's okay too, but please jump in. And then what I love though is then she turned more towards humanity, and she started running directed experiments towards peace into parts of the world that had not seen peace in decades, really violence, nothing but violence in decades. And what she found is about 90% of the tests that she conducted proved to be statistically successful. Now you might ask, how do you measure success when you're talking about seeds and plants and polluted water? Well, she was able to, by tracking this directed positive intention, the seeds were germinating faster at a much faster rate. The plants that received the positive intention were growing at much faster rates, and they were much more robust plants.
Well, how were they gathering around the seeds and the plants? How was the intention being fed to them? Was it remote?
I love that question because yes, more than 90% of her experiments up until she started The Power of Eight, and we'll talk more about that, these large experiments with thousands of people, most of them were non-local. So she was able to prove that it doesn't matter if you're local, non-local, virtual, because it's all energy. It doesn't matter. The results were the same. So she had some experiments that she conducted locally, but the majority of them ended up being from places all over the world. And it was an amazing, absolutely astounding, the results. And she found that with her peace intention experiment, that it actually reduced violence in areas of the world by more than 40%, when other areas of challenge were continuing to grow in those areas. So the reason that I mention that is I love for you guys to understand the history behind what she's doing, because again,
Yep.
it's not just one book. And so her first 5 or 6 books were all about these intention experiments, and she continues them today. And then she said, you know what, I'm going to try to scale this down. And I want to experiment instead with groups of what she called power of 8 groups, which are small groups. They're roughly 7 to 10 people, hence the number 8.
Yep.
They're not too big, they're not too small. And she conducted really many experiments to kind of drill it down to what's the best process. And the results really eclipsed anything that she even began to believe could happen. The results were amazing. People with long-standing relationship challenges, financial challenges, health challenges, in many cases reported near instantaneous healings. And so she
Instantaneous?
instantaneous. And I'm going to give you some examples because they're pretty amazing.
Okay.
And so she continued to refine her work and refine her work until she found the most powerful process within these groups of 8 to be able to create the deepest, most strong demonstrations possible. And those are the processes that we're going to be working with in our power of 8 intention groups. And you said, why is this so powerful for me? And it's so powerful for me because there's 2 parts of the power of 8. There's the giving and the receiving. And for those of you that were in our sensational 6 law of receiving last week, or law of circulation, we all know how important that is, the giving aspect and receiving.
That's right.
And so I love this part of it. And I love the part about building community, because when you are in a powerful group like this with people that you may know well, or you may not know them at all, the energy that is exchanged between individuals is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yep.
And she's done work on power of 8 groups virtually and also in person, which is what we ultimately hope to do if the interest is there from our congregants. So either way, it works absolutely beautifully.
Yep. So intention. So whether it was remote in her early, I actually love that she's an investigative journalist.
Yeah.
And not necessarily doesn't have the stigma of someone that's, like, I don't know, a new thoughtist or whatever.
Right. Right.
That it's just science to her. It's science in the laboratory of her life.
Yeah.
She proved something scientifically to herself.
Yes.
That intention. So what is intention? Is it focused thought? Is it focused energy? How would you describe intention then, Gail? I mean, I have an idea of what it is, but for the folks that might be wanting to participate, what is intention? What the idea of intention?
So intention is what I consider to be intention is focused and common prayer. So we all know from our teachings that all that we believe ourselves to be is what we experience, and that's part of our prayer, right? Everything we do is really a prayer. And what intention is here, it is a focused and common prayer. And that's a really important element of the power of 8 groups. Is what Lynn McTaggart found is that having that focused, common intention among the individuals in the group, whether it's a standalone, which is how we're going to start our groups, or if we build communities that continue to meet on a regular basis, that it's that power of that focused intention. And it takes some practice. It
Yeah.
really takes some practice, and we work with all the senses to really work on developing that focus, that moment by moment focus. Because when we're in a Power of Eight group, and if we get the opportunity, I'll kind of walk everybody through what it looks like so it makes a little more sense. But we're in that focused intention, or that focused common prayer for about 8 or 10 minutes. So what Lynn McTaggart found is that the more frequently people participated, the more they were able to train themselves to stay in that focus, because the focus isn't kind of soft and gentle like we think of a meditation. It's a powerful energetic. It's a
Corrode.
powerful energetic.
Yeah.
So it takes some practice
Yeah.
to build that.
This is what I love about spiritual practice, about athletes, about whatever,
Yeah.
is you have to be disciplined in your craft, no matter what it is. If you
Yes.
want the result that you want, you have to train every day. You have to pray every day. You have to swim every day, whatever the thing is, you have to be committed to it and practicing it. And I loved actually yesterday with Jerry Lynn, we were talking about people that are, like the highest levels of singers, that they don't just go on stage and sing every day. They actually work their lungs. They work their voice. And so it's the same thing physically as it is in consciousness. With intention, you work it, you practice it, you be about it with ferocity.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And what I love about the Power of Eight is that, yes, as we start to build communities, we're going to build that skill, which is going to help everyone in their individual lives in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So that is so exciting. And at the same time, what I love about the Power of Eight intention groups is that it is simple, it is straightforward. Every single group will have a facilitator that knows exactly how to work Lynn McTaggart's process. So I know some people might be thinking, oh, I haven't practiced that, or, there's so much to know. Maybe this group isn't for me. And to that, I would say, jump in and give it a try. You are going to be so surprised, because
Yep.
yes, it takes that practice to grow that focus. But what I love about the Power of Eight is that it invites everyone. And no matter where you are in your journey of growth and consciousness, you will absolutely feel the power of this group. And what I love about it as well, and there's kind of this is the fun side for me, is that what Lynn McTaggart discovered is that when people stop focusing on themselves and instead focus their intention on others, that is when the universe really comes forth and works through them. So the way that these groups work, there is always going to be, in any standalone group, there is going to be one, what we call receiver, and everyone else will be what we call a giver. Everyone comes with an intention, and your facilitator will help you create and craft that intention.
So go
Everyone,
ahead. So dive in. Walk us through that. Walk us through. You're already doing it, but walk us through what a session would look like.
okay, sounds great. Um, so first of all, just to be real thorough, you'll have to sign up for a group,
Yeah.
okay? And if you visit our website at cslpalmdesert.org, you're going to find a link sometime after July 5th where you can register online, or you can call the office and they will assist you in registering. So that's kind of how it starts. And then all of the small groups will be virtual, and we're going to facilitate that through Zoom technology, which, if you're on right now, that's all you need to know about Zoom, is how to link on. So once you're registered, then a group facilitator is going to contact you by telephone, and we're going to make sure that you're comfortable with Zoom. And also, we're going to help you to support you in writing a powerful intention statement. And then the day before the Power of Eight group meets, your facilitator is going to send you a link. So we're going to keep that process for you really, really simple. And the only thing you need to bring when you come is your intention statement, a pen to write with, and a journal.
So folks, before they show up, someone's going to assist them in creating an intention statement.
Yes,
Something they
yes, we
decide
are.
what, and so the intention statement is, I desire to have uh, all the relationships in my life be beautiful, or I desire greater prosperity, things, something like that. Is that
Well, we're going to help you craft something like that, but even a little more direct and clear
okay?
than maybe your examples were. So let me give you an example.
Please.
So
Yep.
good intention statements are brief and really clear, and they're also inspiring, which yours were. So we want in an intention statement to affirm only what we want. So let me give you an example. A good intention statement would not be, I want to get out of debt. That's what you don't want, is the debt. Instead, you're going to say, I'm financially abundant. Okay. I have all the money that I need, if finances are the intention you come with. What about if it's a relationship? I am joyful in love. Okay. It's exactly affirming only that which you want. And then you probably noticed everything was in the present tense. So we're going to write it as if it is happening now. And the reason we write it is then you really get a chance to look at it and say, is that really what I want? When it's on paper, there's a certain commitment that you have to it. And
Yep.
then the
Yep.
third is what you put in your examples, which is we're going to help you focus on the feeling. So
Mm.
again, we don't want to forget that wisdom of your heart. So an example might be, I am fulfilled, I am stimulated, and I am successful. So we're going to help you with whatever you desire. We're going to help you craft a very specific, clear, but powerful intention statement that you will bring along with a journal and a pen to your session. And that's all you need.
Cool. And then so we help people get signed up, and then they show up at the group. Then what happens? At this
So
point, it's going to be virtual, so it's going to be just like we're interacting right now, correct?
exactly. It's so that the difference is everybody will be, or it will be gallery view. Everyone will be together, and the facilitator will have selected randomly who will be the receiver and who will be the giver. So I'd like to chat
Random.
about that for just a minute so people understand the power of each.
Sure.
So
Sure.
what what her research has shown is that the receivers, the individuals who are sharing their intention, and everyone shares their intention, but the receiver is the one who everyone is focusing in on. And to me, the most amazing part of this power of eight is that there is something called a mirror effect or a rebound effect. And what amazed Lynn McTaggart is that those people who were givers of this focused common prayer or intention, they received just as much as the individual who was the receiver at that for that particular group. And what do I mean by that? Well, their intentions came to be, they demonstrated. The other thing that happened that to me is almost even more important is that everybody, 100% of the people said that they came away from those groups feeling more even tempered, feeling more love for others,
Mm.
being more compassionate, more caring. They said they started sleeping amazing. So all of these rebound effects, what Lynn McTaggart found is when you are focusing on someone else, that is when the universe really opens up and starts to focus on you. And rebound effect to me is just so powerful. So that everyone that comes into the power of eight is going to leave with something that allows their life to function even better.
Well, and practically too, I can see if you focusing on giving love to somebody else gets you out of your own, whatever your own issue.
Yes, it
Because we
does.
have a tendency to kind of uh, put our own issues in the dishwasher or the wash machine, and they just kind of cycle around, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So we get out of our own way. We focus love and intention on somebody else, gets us out of our own head
It does.
into our heart. We stop thinking about our own issues so much and start having solutions show up.
Exactly. Exactly. We are much more open. Everyone reports they're so much more open when they leave the Power of Eight group. And there are many Power of Eight groups where the givers say that they actually received more than the receiver would have indicated. And how do we know that? Well, that gets us to the actual functioning of the Power of Eight group, which really relies on the facilitator to guide us through a breath exercise and a meditation. And then we go into this focused prayer, focused common prayer. Everyone's focusing on the same thing at the same time. And then when we move out of that, which lasts about 8 or 10 minutes, then that's when the journal and the pen come into play. Everyone will journal about their experience. And this is very much an experiential. The facilitator will call upon you to use your five senses in the present moment. And you're really going to learn how to become very present in the present moment through these exercises as well. And then we'll do a sharing before everyone leaves the group. It's 30 minutes. Each standalone session is only 30 minutes.
And
And
which
then,
is what's the amount of time we've been on right now. So that's it's really it's not much at all.
you know,
It's
it isn't. And she's really refined her process so that it's just extremely powerful without people needing to have a huge commitment of time. And as I said, there's really no preparation for anyone that wants to join a group other than getting on either online and signing up or calling the center.
Yep.
Our facilitators will support you in everything else. And then the other area that I think this could really grow into, which I'm also really excited about, is the potential then to build in the future for those people that are interested, some Power of Eight communities. And those you might wonder, well, if the standalones work, then why would we want to have these powerful communities that might want to continue on? Well, with kind of the metaphor that I used before with, when you're shining your light and you combine all the lights, you have a more powerful beam. Well, the more you get accustomed to this powering up or this focus piece of the Power of Eight, the stronger you and the rest of your group are going to be able to intend. And the groups don't have to be just for personal intentions. The group can also have more global intentions. So there's so many different places that we can go with this. And I think it's really exciting to have community intention groups that every individual can be a giver and a receiver. See what that experience is for you. Because the idea behind the journal is not only will you capture your experience in that moment, but you'll become very aware of what's happening for me when I leave my Power of Eight group. Because you're going to find that even though many people have had instantaneous healing, absolutely amazing healings, that these healings are going to continue in your life. It's not just in that moment and when you immediately leave the virtual Power of Eight room. It's going to continue. So we're going to ask you to continue to journal. What's different in your life? How are your relationships? How are your finances? Those 4 pillars. What about your creative expression? What's happening with your health? Because you're going to find that all of these areas in your life are going to improve for the better.
totally. Totally, totally. I want to remind everybody that you can chat in any questions that you might have, anything at all. Please ask of Gail, of myself, anything about. Someone just said, I just want to share this. Did you see that, Gail? Someone said, Gail, you are so amazing. This is a terrific new idea for CSL. We agree. That's why we're doing this.
Ah,
So
and it is. If you've been part of a prayer group before, I guarantee this is new for CSL Palm Desert, and it will be new to you unless you've been part of a Power of Eight group someplace else. It really is a very unique process that we're bringing to the center and to all of you.
I love it. So you're the spokeswoman right now, but there's a team involved with this, yeah?
Yes, and I would love to speak about that because really I am simply the spokesperson. This is something that really is passionate to me, but when I shared it, particularly with many of my Sensational Six colleagues, they were also as excited. So behind all of this today are some amazing individuals that are helping with this and are also training to be facilitators. So Brad Wentker, Gail Olansky, Lori Savage, Cheryl Guest, to only name a few, as well as the amazing support we're getting from Elizabeth and from Reverend Charles, Dr. Joe. So there's a whole team behind this that's really supporting this process and getting it delivered to you in really the simplest way possible.
Yeah. So there's absolutely. And that's what I love about our community is I see that we work in team. I love team. I grew up organized sports and all that. I love team. Team is where it's at. I know an individual can accomplish a lot, but working with a team just makes it more valuable somehow. What was I just going to ask? I lost my train of thought. So, well, let's go here while I get my train of thought back on the tracks. So 30 minutes, and I know it's a nice little bit of time. What if folks wanted to spend an hour together?
Absolutely. These groups have tremendous flexibility. I'm
They
so
do
glad
have.
you.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So,
And
so if a group formed, can they say, "Hey, this is going to be a standalone, but was a standalone, but I want to keep hanging out with these people."
absolutely. And that's our intention. The goal initially, you're going to see on for signups, we're going to have certain days and times that people can sign up and become part of a group. And what we're hoping is that people absolutely love it. And maybe people want to stay with the same group. Maybe they would like to form their own group and use one of our facilitators. We can do all of that. And so that's what we're excited about, is starting with the 30-minute standalones, because number one, they work tremendously. So I don't want anyone to think that a standalone session isn't powerful. It absolutely is. And we've got the flexibility to build Power of Eight communities in any way the communities want those to be built. So many of them focus in on maybe the first 30 minutes are on individual intentions. And then the group formulates a global intention, and they'll spend the next 30 minutes on that global intention. Sometimes they decide to meet once a week. Sometimes they meet every other week. And in the week in between, they all agree that even though they won't come together virtually, they will come together at the same time with the same intention. There's all different ways that we can create these communities. And I get so excited about the opportunity to do that, because this is not just a one-time thing. We can grow them, we can be creative, and we can continue to grow more facilitators as we need them. So the sky's the limit here, folks. We can make creative, powerful communities. And what I love about it is the communities will be able to create themselves based upon what they desire. It doesn't have to be a set format from the facilitators. What are their goals? What do they want to intend? And how do they want to do it?
And yet still there's that she's got a proven science. So do we want to, if they want to create their own, I don't know, format or flow, I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Don't they want to still participate in the flow that Lynn McTaggart created?
Yes. And if I misspoke there, please let me correct myself.
Well,
So yes.
I want to be clear for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So she has spent more than a decade refining this process for powerful results. And that's why we have facilitators. The facilitators understand the process and can support you in that process.
Yeah.
However, there's so much creativity around the intention piece.
Okay.
And that's what these communities are able to create, as well as she has recommendations on how often you meet, but there's flexibility there as well. So the communities will be able to have a lot of flexibility around intention and how they want their groups to come together. And the facilitators there to help them through the process so they can focus on their intention, because that's the whole idea in the group, is to focus on that intention. So they're able to do that without being interrupted or disrupted in any way, but they can create that powerful community that's meaningful to them from an intention standpoint.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So let's get personal again for a second. Give us an example of a miracle or an intention that is demonstrated for you through this work.
Well, one miracle and one big intention that demonstrated was meeting my husband and creating an absolutely amazing family together. That was a huge desire of mine. And quite frankly, for a long time, it was a desire that I didn't think would come to fruition.
Mm,
And once I came into this teaching and I realized that the only consciousness that I can change is my own, and
that's
I did, it was almost instantaneous.
wow.
And so, yes, I think that's probably the biggest one I've ever had in my life. But I've had so many others. You know, I've had my own share of health challenges throughout the years, and I found that taking that focused intention on what it is that I desire for wonderful health and well-being, not just looking at, you know, the specific thing that I was putting all my energy in before, but instead putting my energy on what it is that I want. I have been able to resolve numerous health issues that could have become chronic and very damaging.
Mm,
So I've had lots of experience with health issues in this teaching as well. And I think where I am today, being able to do what I desire to do, which is all the healing work that I'm involved in, I know that I have manifested that opportunity for myself.
love it.
So I've had tremendous healings. And for me, a healing is not a cure, although it can be. It is that you know, becoming closer to God, that next step closer to God or spirit or the divine or vibrant energy, whatever you call that life force that we all feel in every moment of our lives.
Amen. Cool. So, folks, you're not just getting somebody who's just talking, you're getting somebody who's walking as well. That's the point of
Mm.
that. So maybe you've talked about this, but earlier on in our conversation, why eight? Why eight? And
Well,
does it have to be? Does it have to be eight? Can it be 10? Can it be six? What's the magic number of eight? It's my favorite number, so I'm
oh,
eight.
that's cool. And the power of eight sounds cool, but the truth is, why eight is a great question. And it's because Lynn McTaggart's work has proven to her that eight is what she calls a Goldilocks number. So it's optimum. It's not essential or it has to be eight. She feels it's optimum in that it's not too few and it's not too many. And
Mm,
when you read her book, she'll say 7 to 10 participants is work. So she calls it the power of eight. So all of our groups, we're going to try to get them to 7 to 10 people, because again, as she's refined her process, she has found that that is the optimal level.
gotcha.
So great question.
Eight and infinity. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Let's see. Generally, anything else you want to say about it? So, folks are going to be able to come to our website to register.
Yes.
So how are they going to be able to do that through? So if they go to cslpalmdesert.org or call our number,
Mhm.
and I know we have some promotional videos that we're working on to send out to everybody, but just talk about the registration process a little bit more and how folks can get involved, would you?
Yeah, so sometime on or around July 5th, which will likely be the very first Sunday that the Power of Eight intention groups will be announced in the Sunday service.
Right.
Just after that, then we will have an area on the website. It's going to be easy to find that says the Power of Eight. And there's going to be a link there that you can click on. And that way that will take you to the registration. And what we're going to ask you for is your name, your phone number, and your email. And that's because we're going to contact you. As I said, your facilitator is going to contact you and get you all set up for your first session. And we ask for your email as well, because sometimes it's not easy to connect with people by phone. So we want to have 2 avenues to make sure that we can connect with you. And you're
Yep.
also going to look at the days and the times that are being offered. And then you're going to select what it is that you would like to, what time and what day you'd like to attend. So, and if you're not comfortable with the website registration, no problem. You can call the center and the center will facilitate your registration. So you have 2 different ways to register for our groups.
Yeah. And what are the times we're looking at right now, Gail? I think we're looking at a few different times to accommodate folks' schedules and things like morning, midday, and evening. What did we discuss about that?
So yeah, what we're starting out with is 8 to 8:30 a.m., 12 to 12:30 p.m.,
And
and a
these are
6
Pacific time.
Pacific time,
Okay.
yes, and then 6:30 to 7. And our thought is, and we will offer multiple sessions at each time. So it's not like we're limited to the first 7 to 10 people on at 8 o'clock on the first date. We're going to offer, we have multiple facilitators that are training so that we can offer multiple time slots. And we're going to see how much interest there is in these groups. And as we do, so please give us feedback, we're going to continue to add additional times as you need them and request them, and days as you need them and request them. So we're starting, as we said, with strictly standalone groups. So everybody gets a chance with very little commitment to just try it out and see what you think. And we'll continue with standalone groups, and we'll start building some communities as people have an interest in doing
Love it. You
that.
know, it's you say with very little commitment, and yet I found that the biggest miracles in my life happen when I bring full commitment to something. You know, so we want to have folks dip their toes in the water and get comfortable with our process, but
Mhm.
and I think bringing your intention isn't commitment inherent in intention. Would you speak to that?
Absolutely. And that's the whole idea behind intention. When you bring that powerful, clear, direct intention, you're bringing a commitment with you. And there's actually a commitment statement that we use around that intention. So
Yeah,
it is extremely powerful.
yeah.
Yes.
Commitment's got a bad rap over the years, I think. I just got the idea of commitment is that I think some people take it on like you have to commit to things that you really don't want to commit to. But what if you actually had a life that you committed to only things that you really want to commit to?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what joy comes out of that, yeah?
And we know that, you know, some of these power of intention communities may decide they want to meet once a week indefinitely, or maybe they want to meet once a week for 10 weeks, or whatever they decide to do. What we wanted to make sure, Reverend Charles, is that with the standalone groups for 30 minutes, is that as many people as thought they might have an interest can come and really experience the fullness of the power of 8. What we're doing in 30 minutes is no less powerful than what others are going to do in 60 minutes down the road.
Right
So
on.
it is a tremendous commitment, but we also realize that for some people it's uncomfortable to say, well, I'm going to commit to this for 10 weeks, or I'm going to commit to this on an ongoing basis. So we wanted everybody that had an interest to give it a try. So
Yeah,
that's why we're starting out with the standalone groups, and they are powerful.
I love it. I can't wait to see what this is going to do for our community. And I really, you know, it takes the idea of church or anything dogmatic out of the equation totally. It's just about
Absolutely.
intention. It's about your commitment. What do you want in your life? So whoever's listening, I would really encourage you to all of you that are listening. Do you have a friend that wants to make a change? Do you have a family member that really wants to bust out of, you know, whatever it is into something more glorious, and to just sit? I mean, my understanding is that there's really no dogma or churchism or anything like that involved with this. It's just you, it's your intention, the desire of your heart, and that fits for everybody. That fits for humanity. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, look at who developed this. This was not a person that would even define herself as spiritual.
Yeah.
And yet the evidence was so compelling. And it's interesting to read her early books versus her later books, where she's starting to bring in things like consciousness and removing senses of separation and individuality and all the things that she's now discovered through this process.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I want to encourage, because I have, well, first and foremost myself, and just so many friends and like people that I love that I know want their lives constantly to be better, you know, to be
Yes.
more filled with prosperity, with relationships that work, with compassion, with empathy. Um,
Yes.
and this is it's a small investment of time to cause major change
Yes.
for the individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a major change for all of the individuals that are participating.
I could see,
And
like, I could see you talking about the size of your family. Like, a family could do this together, right?
oh, absolutely.
How
Yes.
cool would that be?
Yeah.
If, yeah,
Absolutely. And once people, learn the process that we're happy to train more facilitators as people have a desire to learn, but you'll recognize when you experience the power of eight that the facilitation itself is, yes, it requires some knowledge and understanding, but it's something that anyone can do. So if you want to have a power of eight group and it's your family, absolutely, one of you can be the facilitator.
right
So
on.
that's what I love about it. It truly is universal. It's an amazing universal process, and it works. The statistics that she has been able to compile from all of her experiments for over 20 years, the demonstrations are amazing,
I,
absolutely amazing.
I love that. Because there's something about data. It's not just intuition. It's not just feeling. There's
Oh,
data.
yeah,
So
it's
someone just asked Gail, let me make sure I have this correct, the question. Um, just one moment. Should couples be in the same group?
Lynn McTaggart addresses that. And what I would recommend based upon her findings is that as a couple that you try it in a separate group first. And this is why I'm saying this is, remember we talked about powering up
Yep.
and really developing that sharp, intense moment by moment focus. When you're in the room with someone that you know really well, and you never know what interactions you have had currently with that person that you know really well, you could be distracted by that in your power of eight group. So I would suggest, as you're growing those, focused intentions and your ability to focus, I would recommend that you register for different groups. And how fun is that? Because then you can compare what happened and what your experience was. So you get even more out of it. And then I think as time goes on and you develop that focus, it's very, very common that couples will enter the same group, or maybe they'll enter the same community, or maybe it's groups of people that know each other really well and they end up forming a community. That all works. The
Yeah.
key is you don't want to be distracted from learning that intense focus, because that's going to help you and your group so much.
Yeah. Right on. You could have
Okay.
that background dialogue happening. I guess
So, yeah.
now that I asked about the family thing, I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Well, I think
So
it
it
depends
could be though.
upon, it could be, it depends upon the intention. And
Yeah.
that's when we talked about the flexibility before with the communities.
Yeah.
Depending upon the intention, it could be fabulous,
Yeah.
absolutely fabulous.
Well, and that's the thing about couples too, though. So if a couple, well, you know what the intention of a couple is, though. I would say if a couple goes into two separate groups, there's still the idea that you want to grow together. Yeah, a partner
Yes,
does. So maybe there's an intention within the intention that we want to grow together, or maybe the intention
absolutely.
to grow up. Maybe the intention is to grow apart, and that's the blessing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. And in all of those cases, it's also beneficial to be in different groups because you have the freedom to speak that clear intention exactly the way that you would like to state it. And sometimes that's not always possible when you're with someone that you're really close to.
Yeah,
So that's another reason to really give it some thought before you would want to be in the same group with someone else. And I just think it would be amazing to have someone close to you that you can talk about your experiences. And again, these are confidential groups. No one is going to talk about, and we'll address this as facilitators, anybody else's experience or
yeah.
the group in total. But
That's a
you're free to tell someone what you experienced.
yeah.
This is what I experienced. This is what it felt like. This is what happened to me. But so I do want to add that caveat, because I want people to know that whatever happens in the group stays in the group. But if you want to share what happened directly for you, that's absolutely fine.
Cool. And so the facilitator will go through the quote unquote rules of engagement, or the ground rules of the group. There are
Yes,
there are things to keep people safe within the group.
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I was just thinking about this. What if these types of groups were in, I mean, my daughter turned 7 on Monday. What if these types of groups were in our schools,
Mhm.
with our children?
I think it could be fabulous. I have a fellow practitioner that is right now is kind of organizing these groups for this coming fall for teenagers in the local high school. And she's been meeting with them and talking with them about the group and what it is that they would like to see. How does this land for them? And
Love
she's
it.
actually going to start it in her local high school. So
Love
absolutely. And I don't see any reason you couldn't do it, probably from preschool almost on. You might not have a 30-minute power of intention,
it.
because the focus isn't that great, but you certainly could
Yeah,
modify it for those groups, and it would be amazing, I think.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to wrapping up. So we're at our community. So we're looking at starting registrations July 5. We're probably going to announce via our Sunday service. Well, we've already started announcing though. I'm just far as timeline.
Yeah.
We'll get these groups going over the course of the summer. We'll get into the first groups are probably going to meet the
The
week
15th.
after that. Is that
Yeah, our very first sessions are scheduled for July 15th, which is a
July?
Wednesday.
Okay, excellent.
And
So after July 5, during that week and beyond, folks can register. We'll have the information up on our website. All of
yes.
the things, it'll be clear. Cool.
And please, an encouragement, when you're thinking about registering, try to register as early as you can, because as I mentioned, your facilitator is going to reach out to every person in your group, and they're going to make sure you're comfortable on Zoom. They're also going to help you write that intention statement and just kind of give you the lowdown. This is how it's going to work, and make sure that they can answer any questions that you have, so that you have the ability just to focus when you're in your Power of Eight intention group. So the sooner we can contact you, the more guaranteed we are that we were able to catch you, because we know people are busy and we don't always catch everybody on the first phone call. So
Yep,
the sooner the better is what I'm saying, so that we can really answer all your questions and connect with you prior to the session.
absolutely. Yep. Will there be a cost for the one-off groups through CSL Palm Desert? We have not talked about cost at all.
Yeah, there's no direct cost, Reverend Charles, but we are going to offer it as a love offering, which is very common for most of our programs. So if people love the Power of Eight and they would like to contribute to the center on behalf of the Power of Eight, please do.
Absolutely.
And we will be announcing that as part of our Power of Eight group as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
And
want
that's
to
what
be
we
able to keep these coming to everybody. So
totally,
yeah,
totally. We encourage, we continue through our daily offerings like we're having right now with
yeah,
the wonderful Gail, to encourage people to continue to support the work that we're up to. Like we say that the building might be generally closed, but our ministry is strong right now, and you can tell. I mean, listen to this woman talk about the Power of Eight and what we're up to. Our ministry is strong. There's ideas flowing. There's so many
yes.
wonderful things happening. It's
Oh, absolutely, there are,
Yeah,
and we're excited about all of them. You know, the
we-
Power of Eight, our virtual prayer room that's going to be
virtual prayer
starting
room.
as well, and
Yeah,
books, new book studies coming up. I mean, we really have a lot of ideas flowing. So,
yeah,
and we're excited about all of them.
we're rocking and rolling, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Cool. Any a paragraph to wrap things up before I go into a few announcements here? Anything closing thoughts?
You know, I think that really the only closing thought that I have is kind of a summary that, kind of the bottom line is the Power of Eight groups really cause big changes in consciousness, and they remove that sense of separation and individuality. And I think that is so important right now, Reverend Charles, because we've all been sheltered in place. And, it just removes that. You're going to become one with that group. And I just love that aspect of it. And we are going to, as facilitators, be following the most reliable exercises that Lynn McTaggart has out there right now for powering up. I'm actually a part of her intention groups right now, so I'm staying apprised of all that she's doing.
Love
And
it.
through things that you guys love, visualization, focus, we're just going to surrender to that greater universal energy that is that true agent of manifesting. And it's going to be beautiful.
Love it.
So please
So,
join us.
yeah, totally. That is Gail Morton, everybody.
Thank you.
You want to hang tight while I do the announcements here, or do you want to, you can sign off. It's up to you.
I'll hang tight.
Okay, cool. Let's see. So we will be starting registrations for the Power of Eight. Let's just say July 6th. Okay. I mean, July 5, we're going to be announcing just to make sure everything's in order. Look to the website or call the office starting July 6th to get involved with the group. And I would encourage you too to follow Gail's instructions. Get in early, you know, get online on the 6th, call on the 6th to make sure that you get into a group and that and everything's in order. So we appreciate you doing that. Very excited about this. We're community folks, aren't we? I think most of us that are tuning in right now, the reason we are is because we are community folks. But I also want to be very intentional about asking people to ask friends, family members, colleagues, whoever they might be. This isn't about dogma. I mean, our center isn't anyway. You know, we're just about growth. We're about developing ourselves. We're about maximizing our potential, becoming the best human being we possibly can. Invite people into these types of things. You know, this is a way for us all to grow, and this Power of Eight is a wonderful way we can do it. So I would encourage everybody to spread the word about what we're up to here and what we're going to be doing. Somebody just put, oh, someone's calling you Reverend Gail.
How about that?
Thank you, Reverend Gail. That was great with a big fat smile.
Oh, thank you all.
So, okay, so we've got this going on, our virtual prayer rooms. We're going to be talking about that too, coming up in some of our announcements, where on Sunday mornings, you can get through Zoom technology, get in, pray, just like we're doing right now. You'll be face-to-face with a practitioner, pray, and then go about your day. That's going to be happening on Sundays, which is going to be an awesome thing that we're offering as well. I'm very excited about that. And again, thank you so much to Gail and Dale and our Sensational Six for just bringing these ideas forward. You know, it makes being a leader in this community so easy to have so much talent and capacity and beauty and generosity in our center. I wake up every day saying, thank you, God, I live in heaven. I'm so grateful.
Me too.
Heaven and heaven.
Right here.
Our community. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So please continue. So we have the virtual prayer room coming along. We're so grateful that you continue to share your financial resources with our center to bless us as we continue to be about ministry and what we're up to, being about sharing our gifts and these types of opportunities with everybody. Thank you so much for continuing to share your financial good. We are blessed big time as a center, and it's because of you, the collective you. So thank you for that. Let's see, we've got a wonderful, what day is it? It's Friday, right? Tomorrow we've got another wonderful meditation. Sunday, we've got it's going to be a wonderful service. We got a few surprises thrown in there. Our house band is going to be playing during our service. You get 3 songs from them, which as I've shared, recording with the house band was just so much fun. We did that. I still don't even remember, earlier this week or last week, whenever we did it. And then Monday, my good friend Amy Steinberg, we're going to do a concert and conversation. I'll be hosting that show from Seattle, celebrating my daughter's birthday. Tuesday, we've got Jafan. We have a little bit of a scheduling situation going on with Jafan. We're going to be figuring that out, but just trust there'll be some robust conversation. Wednesday, the Sensational Six, next Wednesday. Thursday, my good buddy, Reverend Daryl Jones from Chicago will be back on with me. And then next Friday, you'll get to see Dr. Joe and I together back again after his break, doing what we do, just kind of kicking the can, doing our thing. And the show keeps going on and on and on. I hope that you saw the results. We sent an email out recently with the results from our survey. Which leads us to kind of being our house of worship being closed for a while still. I think we're seeing a spike in some COVID cases, And as has been the beginning, Dr. Joe said from the beginning that we will operate with an abundance of caution. So we don't have any plans to gather people together in our center anytime soon. We don't have a definite date on it. We said July 5th. About a month ago, we said, hey, July 5th might be a good time. We just don't feel it's a good time yet because we want to protect our community. That's what first and foremost. So just stay tuned. We'll keep sharing information as it comes out. Just know that we're caring for you. I just want to say there was a kind of a mixed bag in the survey results. Some people were like, let's get back together. Let's do it. Let's stop messing around, and we want to be back together. And I understand that 100%. I really do. I want to be back together. I mean, I'm a touchy-feely guy. I want to embrace. I want to feel community. I want to do all those things. But we're thinking about the good of the whole, and that's why we're making the choices that we're making. So we appreciate your patience and your love. That's all we've got. Thank you so much, Gail. What a treat, and thank you so much for the information and all the love and the good care that you're giving our community. Have a wonderful weekend there in Michigan.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well, and travel safe.
Thank you so much. God bless you, community. We love you. Mwah. We are out of here for another day. Peace and love.